Welcome all viewers. Today I have the pleasure and I feel very lucky to be interviewing Charlotte Bronte, the author and best-selling novel of Jane Eyre. Hi Charlotte, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Lorraine, on your morning show.
All right, Charlotte, well, let's get started. So Charlotte, our viewers are really interested to know a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born on April 21st, 1816 in Thornton, Yorkshire, England. I am the daughter of Patrick Bronte, a clergyman, and Maria Branwell. My family spent most of our life in a strict Anglican home located in Haworth, which is a remote town on the Yorkshire moors. I had 4 sisters, Maria, Elizabeth, Emily, and Anne, and one brother named Branwell.
My, what a big family you had.
Yeah, it was very big. However, my 2 sisters, Maria and Elizabeth, died from tuberculosis, and my brother, Branwell, died from alcohol abuse.
That's terrible, Charlotte. Such tragedy in your family.
My aunt, Elizabeth Branwell, stepped into our lives after my mother died to help raise us children. Despite my dark past, I am currently happy in life as I am married to my lovely husband, Arthur Bell Nichols, and I have 3 of my books published. And they're doing great right now.
That's wonderful, Charlotte. Silver lining to your story.
Yes.
Charlotte, what inspired you to become the awesome writer that you are today?
Well, thank you, Lorraine. My sisters and the outside world inspired me to become a writer. I always wanted to become a writer because publishers and other people said I never could because of my gender. Well, I proved them wrong. I always wanted to become a writer because my sisters and I have always found pleasure in writing short stories and editing each other's work, so I would say that they're major influences in my writing also.
Wonderful. So you would say your haters became your motivators.
That is true.
What have your achievements been to date, Charlotte?
My achievements to date would be my 3 published novels, Jane Eyre, which was a success, Villette, and Shirley, other great books, and my poems in the book of poems me and my sisters published together.
Do you proofread or edit all your own books, or do you get someone else to do that for you?
Well, I always proofread and edit my own books first, and then I get my sisters to edit them again. In my opinion, it's always good to get a fresh set of eyes on a piece of writing you're working on.
For sure. I would think having your sisters proofread it would be an excellent idea since they're so literary as well.
Yes, they are.
What is the most difficult situation you have had to face, and how did you tackle that situation, Charlotte?
Well, I would say the most difficult situation I've had to face would be when my publishers wouldn't publish my work or even look at it because it was written by a woman. I tackled this situation by putting all my work I submitted under the pen name of Currer Bell, and then once my work became famous, I revealed my true identity. Boy, were they surprised.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Get it done, Charlotte. There are a lot of critics out there that analyze other authors' works on a daily basis. Can you give me an example of when your work was criticized, and how did that make you feel, Charlotte?
My first literary work, The Professor, got a lot of criticism from the publishers as they said it was a poor effort and unsuccessful attempt to write a novel from the male perspective. This affected me a lot because my sister's novels got published and mine didn't, and I thought that this book was actually a success in my mind, but I didn't let this bring me down as I went on to write my novel, Jane Eyre, which everyone loves. And
Wonderful.
I also get a lot of criticism on my newly published books, but I often get a variety of good and bad criticism, so it doesn't affect me as much.
So sometimes the good outweighs the bad.
For sure.
Charlotte, if you don't mind me asking, what have you failed to achieve to date that you want to accomplish in your lifetime?
I have failed to achieve opening up my own school, and I've also failed to publish my first written novel, The Professor, but I'm determined to still get it published for my fans, and I'm working on it right now.
Wonderful. Won't the fans be so happy when that hits bookstores?
I hope they are.
What books have had a strong influence on you and your writing style?
Childhood books that I've read have had a strong influence on my earlier pieces of writing. These books include Blackwood Magazine, the Bible, and other educational texts my father had laying around his library. I would say that newspapers on current politics influence my writing today, as I like to write on current issues, which you guys all know.
Wonderful. What is the worst job, Charlotte, that you have ever had?
The worst job I've ever had would be when I worked as a governess. I hated this job because it reminded me of a lot of slavery, and I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could.
Well, it's no fun if you don't like your job.
No, it isn't.
Makes for a long day, so good to get out of that while you could.
Mm-hmm.
How hard was it to establish and maintain a career in writing?
It was really hard for me to establish and maintain a career in writing because I was a woman, and in the Victorian era, women didn't have a lot of rights and were seen as belonging to the domestic sphere. Thus, being a woman author was hard as the publishers wouldn't take me seriously or even look at my work sometimes. However, once my novels became bestsellers, it became easier to maintain my career in writing. Therefore, as a woman, it was really hard for me to establish a career in writing, but not as hard to maintain it once I became famous.
You were a woman living in a man's world.
Yes.
But you showed them, Charlotte.
I did show them.
When did you publish your first book, and how old were you at the time?
I published my first book, Jane Eyre, in 1847, and at that time I would be 31 years old.
31 years young, Charlotte. What do you like to do, Charlotte, when you're not writing? How do you occupy your days?
When I'm not writing, I like to read, walk the moors, or even drink tea with my sisters.
Ah, tea time. about your novels, what would that be, Charlotte, and why?
If I could change one thing about my novels, it would be their titles. I think I would like to have titles that weren't names of the major characters or where the novel took place. Instead, I think I would like to have a title that was more catchy and unique.
Is there a message in your novels that you want the readers to grasp? An overall theme, would you say?
I would say that I would want readers to grasp the message that you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it, and that you should never hold back.
That's a great lesson for life. If you didn't like writing books, what would you do for a living? What would your second choice be, Charlotte?
If I didn't like writing books, I could see myself opening up my own school again. I love teaching, and if my first school I tried to open was a success, I could see myself remaining a teacher and not becoming a writer.
Is there one subject you would never write about as an author? And if there is one taboo subject, what would it be?
I would never write about something that didn't revolve around something real. I love revolving my books around current and political events.
Do you have any advice for other authors?
My advice for other writers would be that if you first don't succeed, try again.
Again, excellent advice, Charlotte. Charlotte, what are you currently working on this minute? The viewers would love to know.
I am working on publishing my first novel, The Professor, as it wasn't published before, and on a website on my life called Charlotte Bronte's Life and Times, which is coming this winter, and you guys should look out for it.
Wow, a website, like a biography of your works to date and all of your accomplishments. That sounds wonderful. We'll watch for that one.
Yeah, it is going to be wonderful.
Charlotte, how much research do you do for your projects?
I do a lot of research, but I mostly research in the area of politics as I'm extremely interested in it. I especially like to explore into women's rights and the social class system. I also like to research other areas of England as I like to write my plots in other areas. All of my research goes towards the plot and characters in my books, and you can look out for my research in my books.
So all your research goes into your books and helps develop the characters and the plots.
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent, thank you. Have you written any other novels in collaboration with other writers?
I collaborated with my sisters Emily and Anne in my earlier years of writing. We often composed short stories and plays together as children. We also composed a book of poems together under the pen names of Curra, Ellis, and Action Bell.
Interesting. Great to have sisters.
Yes, they are handy.
Thank you, Charlotte, for answering all of our questions today. We wish you the best of luck with the rest of your writing career.
You're welcome, Lorraine. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.